So in this video we're going to be talking about how to decontaminate your rotors that recently just got hydraulic fluid on them, maybe some tire sealant squirted out when you were airing out your tires or something. Basically anything that could stop your brakes from gaining traction to stop your bike. So stay tuned and we will get over this. So what we're going to need to do this project is some isopropyl alcohol. It could be any percentage of isopropyl alcohol. Just make sure that it's isopropyl alcohol or brake cleaner. You can use automotive brake cleaner on disc brakes. It's perfectly fine. It's just brake cleaner. Then you're going to need shop towels, paper towels, or microfiber cloth to make sure you get any debris off of it. And then you are going to need some sandpaper to re-scuff up your surface and to re-scuff up the brake pads. So let's get into this. Alright, to start the process of decontaminating your rotors, I usually will take a paper towel or a shop towel and I'll take the isopropyl alcohol and I'll just go ahead and make sure that is all nice and wet, and then just go around and essentially scrub your rotors with the isopropyl alcohol. Now beware, if you use a paper towel, they're not lint free. You will have little tiny particles around. So if you got shop towels, I suggest you just use them. But as you can see, we've got a lot of black on there. But the problem is that whatever was on this rotor, which I'm assuming it was tire sealant, ended up getting on my brake pads and glazing them over. So after that does its thing and you see it dry off, you're going to go ahead and scuff it up with sandpaper. You want to make sure you do both sides because, you know, brake pads go on both sides of the rotor. So you're just going to go around and just scuff it all up. I don't recommend using a fine grit sandpaper. Just, I don't even know what this is, that doesn't tell me on the side, but it's not a polishing sandpaper. So make sure you use a gritty sandpaper. They're just rotors. They're going to get scratched up and all that anyway. So make sure it is super scuffed up. Alright, and then after you're done sanding, you're going to go ahead and take a fresh piece of paper towel, shop towel, again, anything of your choosing, and you're going to get off all the metal bits from sanding down that rotor. And you should have a nice, fresh, look at all that. And then you should have a nice, fresh, clean rotor. Sometimes I will do this twice to make sure all contamination is off. Also, this is very wasteful for the environment, so I recommend using a shop towel because they absorb stuff. And that's all we have to do to the rotor. Now we got to head back over to the bike and I'll show you what to do with the brake pads. Alright, now that we're over at the bike, we're going to go ahead and start the process of decontaminating the actual brake pads inside of the caliper. To do this, I usually just take my sandpaper and I'll take a card or a piece of, just something that can not bend as easily as paper does. Essentially, I use my MVP food line card. Never fails. And then we just take that and make sure it's on both sides, and you're just going to find the pads, because I can see right here, you can't see on the camera because unfortunately the GoPro doesn't pick it up because it really doesn't have really good low light, but my pads are glazed over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here, take this and just lightly sand, and then keep checking after I sand a bit to see if the glaze is gone. Alright, so after you've sanded down your pads and you don't see any of the glazing over, which means if your pads look shiny that they are glazed over, you're going to go ahead and blow out any other contamination. If you have a air compressor, I suggest blowing it in there. If you have a can of compressed air, get it in there, get that brake dust out of there. You don't want that back on your rotors. And now what we're going to do is we're going to reattach the wheel and see if we still have that contamination there, and then if we don't, we're going to go ahead and go through the brake bedding process again, since we just removed all the brake pad off the rotor. This concludes the video on how to decontaminate your rotors. If by chance you contaminate any of your rotors, just follow this process and it will decontaminate them. Just make sure that you bed in your brakes after completing this process. Again, thank you for tuning in. If you wouldn't mind, like and subscribe. Thank you.